As you say, because of those serious errors that the BBC has endured with over the last few months, this effectively, the Q&A afterwards with the senior leadership was an exercise really in them showing a united front. But before we get into sort of what was said on that front, let's talk you through some of the main facts that were in the report. The BBC contributed in the last year $5 billion to the UK economy. Its commercial division had record sales of $2.2 billion, helped in no small part by its consumer products division, and Bluey being the most streamed show in America, the Australian cartoon dog doing such good things for their finances. That sounds like a lot though, but despite that, it's not enough to plug the gap that is left by the licence fee, which is 30% less than what it was in 2010. So it's huge financial sort of issues that the BBC is facing, as well as the rising costs that are happening at the moment for across television and the production sector. Gavin and Stacey, one of the most watched scripted TV shows in the last 20 years. It got 21 million viewers. On pay, we got an insight into the leadership pay. We know the Director General, Tim Davie, was paid last year £547,000. Its Chief Executive, Tom Fusel, was paid $869,000. And the BBC's chair, Samir Shah, was paid $169,000. On talent, the top two talent are actually sort of no longer in their former jobs. Gary Lineker, before he left the BBC last year, remains the highest earner for last year, being paid a whopping $1.35 million. And the second highest pay was Zoe Ball with a salary of $519. She, of course, is no longer in her Radio 2 job either. And coming in as third place in terms of talent pay, football pundit Alan Shearer was the second highest paid in sport with a salary of $440,000. But look, as I said, this was mostly because of the major sort of errors that the BBC has been sort of having to manage and deal with over the last few months. I think what most of the journalists wanted to talk to the senior leadership figures about was the Glastonbury death chance that we've had in recent weeks, the Gregg Wallace scandal and the handling of the report that was published yesterday from Banerjee, and of course the Gaza documentary itself, which that report came out yesterday. And the first question that was put to Director General Tim Davie was on that fact about whether he had considered resigning, and if not, why hadn't he? And he talked about the fact that it has been an incredibly tough period. He said it's not a job that you take if you want a quiet life or a non-stressful existence. And he said, Gaza has been the most challenging editorial issue I've had to deal with, but the importance of fair, balanced reporting, the need for high-quality homegrown programming in the face of massive pressure, I think has never been ever been more greater. And I believe my leadership and the team I've assembled can really help the BBC to thrive in that environment and make it a very competitive environment. And we heard the BBC chair, Samir Shah, effectively singing from the same hymn sheet. He said Tim Davie and his team, and Tim in particular, has shown very strong leadership throughout this period, and he has my full support. So will this be enough really for Tim Davie to weather the storm? Certainly all of the senior figures out today keen to present a united front.